In a moment of exhaustion and self-doubt recently, my wife turned to me and asked me if I thought she was doing a good job as a parent. And I told her that if she's feeling insecure, all she needs to do is go and spend an hour, well, not even an hour, like 5 minutes, and log on to Reddit and spend some time reading through the posts in the parenting subreddit. And if you're feeling bad about yourself, you'll start to feel a lot better pretty quick. Now that's probably not fair to the people of Reddit, and in my defense, I was just trying to cheer my wife up with a joke. But seriously guys, some of the things that get posted in there, if there was a theme you could extract from that most desperate corner of the internet, it would probably be a sense of struggle. Now, I haven't experienced all that a person could experience in this life, so I can't definitively say that parenting is the hardest thing that you'll ever do, but it's definitely been the hardest thing that I've ever tried to do. And for a point of reference, I once suffered through the entire runtime of the Da Vinci Code. So, yeah, parenting is hard, but that's not all it is. It seems like a lot of parents have become exclusively fixated on the difficulty, and they've forgotten the reasons for why it's worth doing. So I wanted to take a moment to try to explain what I think those reasons are based on my own experience. Let me make a quick disclaimer to acknowledge that not everyone is called to parenthood. Some people are called to the single life, and some people can't have kids. So my encouragement in this video is for people who are called to it and people that can have kids. So most people believe that there's value in being exposed to a variety of experiences in this life. But by the time you get to be a mature adult, you start to act like you've seen it and done it all. You lose your sense of wonder and curiosity. An older friend of mine who grew up in Great Britain was recently telling me about the fact that historic castles and cathedrals are just of no interest to her. And as she was telling me that, I was wondering how a person could take all this beauty and heritage for granted. She was living in a place that people would fly to from around the world just to see the sights and sounds. And for her, it was all just tedious. That conversation reinforced for me that no matter how amazing our experiences or our surroundings can be, once we've seen it and done it enough times, we can fall into a pattern of taking it for granted. Something about the experience of growing into adulthood infuses us with this attitude like we've seen it and done it all. We forget that life can be an adventure of discovery. Having kids allows us to discover the world again for a second time through the experiences of our children. We get to experience their sense of wonder and curiosity as we teach them and try to nurture those experiences. It's like you get to go on the adventure of life again for the first time. Experiences like learning to walk and talk, seeing an animal up close for the first time, climbing a tree, learning to read and write, or the experience of hearing Darth Vader explain to Luke that he's his father.
I am your father.
And if you're lucky, you get to be a grandparent and do it all again for a third time, because third time's a charm, I guess. Seeing my parents become grandparents has been really interesting and beautiful to watch, because they're different with the kids this time around. Their priorities as grandparents aren't the same as my priorities with them as a parent, and they don't treat them the way that they treated us when they were parents. It's like every time you experience childhood again, first as a parent and then as a grandparent, you bring this whole new depth of wisdom and joyfulness to the experience. And maybe that's what Jesus meant when he said that unless you become like a child, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Something about our lives and our nature seems like it was designed for us to re-experience childhood over and over again, and that our purpose can be discovered in that experience. I happen to believe that our purpose in life is to love others as ourselves. And that's really easier said than done because we are extremely selfish by nature. When we have children of our own and have to reorient our priorities in the interest of someone else, we discover how much of a strain it puts on our selfish nature. And this can be extremely eye-opening and really good for us. As I said before, learning to love other people is easier said than done. But for whatever reason, call it evolutionary design or divine providence, the natural order of our lives seems to be designed to make that process easier on us if we embrace it. If we are by nature selfish, then the best way for us to learn to love someone other than ourselves is by creating someone who is as much like us as possible. That's what having children does. It gently invites us into an experience of loving someone who isn't us, but closely resembles us. It's a first step to learning to love someone who isn't you, And it's a lot easier than trying to love some random person because they're tiny and adorable, they look like you, and they're likely going to share a lot of the afflictions that you would have, which is going to inspire your sense of empathy and compassion a lot easier than it would if you were trying to be compassionate towards someone who is afflicted with something that you can't relate to. Lastly, I want to encourage you to have as many kids as you can, and there are more reasons for this than I can describe. But one of the most surprising reasons is because it's easier. The more kids you have, the more they learn to amuse each other and rely on each other. Having 2 or 3 kids is much easier than only having one, because with one, as their parent, you're their only source of human interaction for much of their lives, which places a way heavier burden of responsibility on you to keep them amused and socially satisfied. But when they have siblings, they have peers, which means that their social development will happen in a much more natural way. And you as an adult can focus on your adult responsibilities while they amuse each other. Thank you guys for watching that. If you enjoyed that, then please like it and share it and subscribe and come follow along for more content. And if you want to support the making of these videos, then please consider supporting the business that makes them possible. Holdsworth Design is a digital marketing and communications company that specializes in web design, print design, branding, videography, and all that kind of stuff. So, and this is with a special emphasis on churches and ministries as well. So if you know somebody that needs those services, then please consider passing that along to them and check out the website, which is www.holdsworthdesign.com.